the horses that I get anymore aren't colts to start. They're going to be horses that have 60, 90, 120 days on them when they were a 2-year-old, and then they just really haven't done much, and then they're 4 or 5 years old when I get them, and everybody wants them to be used on the ranch and to put a handle on them. So we're going to talk about some things that should help everybody to figure out how to transition those horses from the snaffle bit or a bozal or a noseband up into neck reining and riding through their neck. So just like we were talking about the other day, how important it is when you first start teaching those horses, putting this inside leg on her. I'm going to ask her to bend around it. Okay, see how she's still following my hand with her eye, just like she was when she was a baby when we started her. She's bringing her nose. I'm brushing that neck rein. Right there's her turnaround. Same thing over here. She's bringing that face. She's bringing her eye, brushing that neck, and right here's where her turnaround comes. Okay? For some reason, this is the hardest thing in the world for people to get figured out, because you go from two-handing those horses, okay? Right here, we're just doing all the exact same things. Bring those hands in closer, and it's just no kind of transition at all for those horses to start riding through their neck. So I think maybe what's happening is, and I'm probably, not everybody's going to agree with this, and that's fine. I just don't hardly ever do a one rein. I know that was kind of a big deal for a while from whatever clinician. And so what they do is they'll take and they'll bring those horses' heads around to keep them nice and soft without those horses ever moving their feet. And I just don't hardly ever do that at all. Probably because I've ridden horses that have had that done with them, and they do the old rubberneck where they turn their head around right there to your foot and just run plumb off the other way. Honestly, I've never found a practical application for it, because I can't ever think, unless I'm standing at a gate, of why I would ever want that horse to bend their head and not be moving their feet. And maybe that's just kind of a cow horse way of looking at things. Now, is that to say that I don't want my horse to collect? Well, no, because right here I'm going to make her get collected, get her old hocks up under her, and get ready for whatever we're going to do next. Does it mean I don't want her to bend? Well, no. Clearly she has to bend to do everything that I'm asking her to do. However, I just don't find a lot of practical application in having a horse's head turned around all the way to your knee. Their rib cage is all out of position, their rib cage is all the way over here, their head's all the way over here, and I just never have found much reason for it. We do have a couple of horses that are pretty geared pretty hot, and sometimes it will help those horses. It's kind of just another way of managing them to control their feet by not letting them move their feet. So there's occasions for it. I just don't find a lot of occasions for it. So again, we're just doing the exact same thing that I did with her when she was a baby. Nothing has changed. I'm brushing her neck. Whoa. Here's another thing I wanted to touch on today too. There's a couple different kinds of turnarounds that you're going to do with your horse. And it doesn't matter what kind of horse I'm starting. I start pretty much all of them the same in the first few days. The other day when I was riding the little sorrel colt, I showed you how I want him to bring that foot very first thing when I bring this hand. It's exactly what I want her to do. If you'll put that in those horses, you can always teach them to do a spin or a pivot, which is that forward motion of them bringing their feet over and crossing over. You can always teach a horse that. The reason I do that is because I get so many horses that had been trained by cutting horse trainers, and it's really, really difficult to teach those horses to do a turnaround like that. And the reason is because, well, everything they do, they're backing those horses up, rocking them over their hop, drawing them down. Whoa. Rocking them over their hop, drawing them down. It's a totally different movement than what I'm doing with her with that forward motion. You can always put that drawdown in a colt, but after they have that drawdown idea, you can't ever, it's really hard to get that forward motion of a spin again. So I usually just put that in them, and you can always go back and and pick that up. So do you see how there's two different ways that your horse is going to turn around? There's two different ways that you're going to hold your reins. Right up here to get her to spin, my hand's right here, kind of back towards my hip. Okay? Left leg's open, right leg's back. Same thing here. Brushing her right here. I'm going to help her. Same thing. Okay? Now, when you're doing these cutting horse turnarounds, she's not even really warmed up. So, we'll drawing down, open this foot up, bring this foot around. Okay? Now hustle her up a little. We'll do the same thing, drawing her down, kicking her across. Ooh. Drawing her down, kicking her across. Okay? Two different ways that you're making your horse turn around. It's two different maneuvers. And so there's a difference between those two, and there's a difference in how you ask for those two. So that's just a couple of things that I wanted to be sure and touch on today, especially for you guys that have those horses that you're trying to take from direct rein in the snaffle bit to growing them up a little bit and trying to get them a little more finished and riding through the neck.